Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, and a national icon who fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the Turkish way. This looks like a job for Deja Vu. When Richard Donner adapted Superman for the big screen in 1978, verisimilitude was his mantra. He wanted audiences to really believe a man could fly, and to that end, his team employed state-of-the-art visual effects. Now, the problem with state-of-the-art effects is that they're virtually impossible for low-budget movies to imitate. But Turkish filmmaker Kunt Tolgar wasn't about to let that stop him. Superman Dönüyor, or Superman Returns, tells the story of Typhoon, an alien from the doomed planet Krypton sent to Earth as an infant. Raised by foster parents, he uses his remarkable powers to fight crime as Superman while maintaining an alter ego as a newspaperman. And when a scientist discovers a powerful Kryptonian meteor that can transmute metal into gold and destroy living things, a sinister rival wants it for himself and becomes Superman's most powerful foe. Superman Dönüyor was made during the heyday of Yeşilçam. Yeşilçam, meaning green pine, is simply the name of the Istanbul street where most Turkish movie companies had their offices. But it also refers to a particular lawless era in Turkey's film industry between the 1950s and 80s, when it cranked out as many as 300 movies a year. It was, at its peak, the third most productive film industry in the world. Films were written, shot, edited, and released all in less than 2 months. Their budgets were almost nothing, raw film stock was rarer than gold, and filmmakers worked under every possible hardship. So when Kunt Tolgar saw Richard Donner's big-budget Superman in Paris and set out to adapt it, he had his work cut out for him. And of course what we get is an understandably cut-rate Superman film, which is immediately apparent. Instead of an elaborate introduction on Krypton, we're treated to a starfield of Christmas tree ornaments, before immediately joining the fully grown Typhoon on Earth the day he learns his true origin and sets out on his own. But you can't cut every corner. When Donner made his film, he knew that people go to a Superman movie to watch him fly, and that presented a real problem for Tolgar because expensive blue screen effects and wirework were out of the question. And he might have been out of luck were it not for an unlikely stuntman.
I call my daughter, I say, give me your Barbie, can. I take that, I give my wife, and my wife, she make the costumes for Superman.
Then he improvised a rear projection screen from a homemade frame and tracing paper.
There is a projector, okay? It's inside here, the Superman. We start the projector. The film is like this. It's moving, and then Superman fly.
But here's the real secret of Superman Dönüyor, the one that almost nobody knows. Superman Dönüyor isn't a Superman movie at all. It's a Captain Marvel movie.
The Adventure of Captain Marvel, Shazam.
Rather than try to remake the Hollywood blockbuster and run into a budgetary brick wall at every expensive set piece, Tolgar instead adapted a childhood favorite. The Adventures of Captain Marvel was a theatrical serial from 1941, a time when superhero movies were in their infancy and their budgets were nearly as low as Tolgar's was now. The plot elements are identical, from the lens-based alchemy/destructo ray device to the death traps. Even the hero's powers sound awfully familiar.
Hazreti Süleyman'ın zekası, Herkül'ün kuvveti, Atlas'ın tahammülü, Zeus'un selameti, Aşil'in cesareti, Merkür'ün sürati.
And yet, while nearly every story beat comes from Captain Marvel, its heart is still Superman's. Ultimately, Superman Dönüyor is remarkably faithful to the Superman mythology, and it's exactly the kind of story you might expect to see in a classic comic book or TV episode. So for Man of Steel enthusiasts and fans of the unusual, I highly recommend it. Star Typhoon Demir was serving in the military when the film was shot, and he didn't actually have leave to go away for a week and make it. He just kind of did it anyway, and was fairly confident he'd get away with it.
After 1 week, he go to military. The captain, he say, where are you? I was in another city. My father is accident like this. And, oh, come on, man, don't tell me that. You was shoot the film, Superman. Everybody knows.